Hey, I'm Randy Vance. I'm on Lake Walloon today. We're on a pontoon boat built by Avalon. This is the LSZ 2385RL. Now, this is a luxury pontoon in that fast-growing market, and it's built for performance. Speaking of performance, we're powered by a Suzuki 200 horsepower AP, and that AP is all about digital controls, which I think go beautifully with this luxury boat. The Avalon that we're on is the perfect luxury partner for the Suzuki 200AP. This happens to be the Platinum Edition new for this year, and it brings in all new vinyl, all new flooring, a great look throughout. I like the stainless steel boarding ladder and the stainless steel tow pylon. If you look at the seat bases, they're all molded with nice contours on them. They hold the speakers, cup holders. Everything is secure, but out of the way so you won't kick it or damage it. If you go to the captain's chair, it's got an easy reclining lever, slides forward and aft, and it swivels so the captain can face his crew or his direction of travel. Now, the last but probably most important touch of luxury on this boat is the rear lounges. That's what the RL designation is for in the name. They lift up, they have plenty of storage underneath them, but if you look, you've got a headrest, you've got nicely contoured armrests. It's just a perfect place to relax and watch the view over the transom, or to watch your kids swimming off the platform when you're at anchor. Another important feature on this boat is gradient thermal control or gradient temperature sensing. Sensors throughout the boat are there to detect changes in temperature. They talk to the ECM, and if the ECM says that shouldn't be warming up that fast, you may have a problem, it'll report that on the display. That way, if you pick up a piece of weed or a grocery bag on your motor, you can remove it before it overheats the engine. Now, this boat has digital controls on its own right. It's got a digital display for all the engine functions and a Garmin combo sonar unit. What I like about this is that when you partner up the digital controls on the display and the digital throttle and shift, and you've got power steering on board, it's just a really smooth operating boat. Now, the Suzuki has a very low gear ratio on it. What that enables us to do is turn a really big prop, and that's important on pontoon boats. Why? Because the most difficult place to drive them is when you're going slow around the docks, and that big wheel gives you big control as you're coming in. Because this boat is built for performance, it's got to be very maneuverable, and that's where the power steering and the electronic throttle controls come in. This boat turns tightly and it heels in nicely, giving you a good, comfortable ride. That's also coming from that hookup from that big prop. Now, we reached a top speed on this boat of over 40 miles an hour at 5,900 RPM. Now, Suzuki always likes to say there's no replacement for displacement. That's why they built this motor system with a 175 cubic inch engine. In addition to that, they've added variable valve timing. That works on oil pressure. As you load up the boat, pushing the throttle forward, getting your crew up on plane, that variable valve timing will open up the engine so it breathes better and ducts more air and burns more fuel to give you more power. Now, the variable valve timing system isn't just about top speed and torque, and there's plenty of that. It's also about fuel economy, especially when it partners up with Suzuki's lean burn ECM. What that does is, as you're operating the motor, it chooses exactly the right RPM to get the fuel burn and the torque you need to enjoy that speed. And one of the most frequent questions that we've run into while we're around the dock is it running? The Suzuki 200AP on this boat is running during our whole discussion, and you can barely hear it. Now, the 200AP is part of a series that includes a digital 150 and a 175. But Suzuki also builds these motors with mechanical controls in case you don't need to go to the digital system. The Suzuki motor also has a really unique engineering feature. It's got an offset drive shaft. It's a chain and sprocket driven system that connects the crankshaft of the motor to the drive shaft. It's oil bathed, and in all the years of that system, it has never failed. It moves the center of gravity of the motor forward on the transom. That might not be so important on a pontoon boat like this, but on a smaller V-bottom boat or a center console offshore boat, getting that center of gravity forward even an inch or two can make all the difference in the world in your performance. Now, the Suzuki motor also comes in black and white. That's really important when you consider that most of the coastal boaters are choosing white motors. Most of the inland boaters are choosing black motors, but now having a choice means you can do a better job of color coordinating your boat and your motor. There are two more important features to consider on the Suzuki 200AP. First, it has a counter rotation module in the motor that switches any motor from right-hand turning to left-hand turning. What that does is down the road when you want to repower or power up, it improves your resale on that counter rotating motor because you can switch it back. Lastly, these motors are available in a 20 and a 25-inch shaft, so they cover every form of boat you might choose. I'm Randy Vance on the Avalon LSZ 2385 RL with Suzuki's 200 horsepower AP.